Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel with my warm beverage of the evening, which is actually some chamomile tea. My throat is just a little sore. I think it's because of the changing weather, which I'm absolutely not mad about. And I'm feeling pretty good. It's just, I think the weather and, going from humid to drier and all that sort of stuff has given me a little bit of a sore throat. So we are foregoing coffee for just a moment and we are having a little bit of tea. But we still have books, and today we're going to talk about A Brew for Chaos by Esme Addison. And now this is number 3 in the Enchanted Bay mystery series. I did not read the other two. I did not actually realize that it was book number 3 until I got partially into it. Realized I felt like the book was making a few references to, I guess, past mysteries or situations, and kind of did a little bit of research at that moment to discover that we had 2 books before this one. The first one being A Spell for Trouble, and the second being A Hex for Danger. But today we are going to talk about the third one, A Brew for Chaos. Now, I will preface with the fact that I do not know if this particular book has spoilers for the other 2. I do not know if anything that I say about this book will ultimately become a spoiler, because I don't know if I've spoiled it for myself. However, I do know it is kind of a cozy mystery with some supernatural, paranormal elements and some magic involved as well. We have individuals who are descended from merfolk, and we also have people who seem to be potentially descended from dragons. I do not fully understand the dragon aspect. I do imagine that that was probably described a little better in some of the previous books. So I do plan to kind of go back as soon as I have the opportunity and see what all is going on with those dragon folks. But today let's talk about A Brew for Chaos, which I think is a pretty good fall book. Not only does it kind of have that magical, almost witchy element, even though I don't think any of the characters are witches per se, they are simply magical folks. And due to their descent from merfolk, they do have bits of magical ability. They seem to concoct various concoctions in order to help, like, what ails others. They do a little bit of magic as well. But let's dive in. Pumpkins, craft beer, and mermaid magic. Alex Daniels must solve a puzzling serial killer cold case in the magical third Enchanted Bay mystery, set in a cozy coastal town. It's fall, and Alexandra Daniels is settling into her new home of Bellamy Bay, North Carolina. She loves her job and her aunt's herbal apothecary, and is at her aunt's herbal apothecary, and is enjoying getting to know her new boyfriend, local detective Jack Frazier. But she's still trying to figure out her newly discovered magical powers inherited from a mermaid ancestor. Leaves are changing, pumpkins are being picked, and the small coastal town is caught up in the excitement of the approaching Oktoberfest and craft beer competition. But Alex's good friend, local journalist Pepper, is more excited by the upcoming anniversary of a spooky cold case she's trying to help her boss Jonah investigate. Back in the 80s, a serial killer named the Fisherman abducted 10 local women. He was never caught, and the women were never seen again. But Alex isn't surprised when Pepper asks for help, but she's done solving mysteries. She'd much rather be strolling down Main Street with Jack, sharing a cup of apple cider, and that's not going to happen if she keeps meddling in his investigations. But when Jonah's body is discovered on the beach, Alex is forced to reconsider. Soon, she's caught up in a complex, troubling plot that places not only her life in jeopardy, but the lives of everyone she loves. An intricately plotted, quirky, and charming book that gives you an enticing genre blend of cozy mystery, contemporary fantasy, and a hint of sci-fi. Fans of Esme's Addison and Intrigue of Witches, as well as Iris Beaglehole, I think it's Beaglehole, Amanda Flower, and Ellery Adams, shouldn't miss this enchanting read. So, there you go. That is the summary as it is presented to me on Goodreads. It is approximately 352 pages on the Kindle edition. I had the audiobook, which was right around 13 hours. And we'll get into that in a minute. It is published, or first published, September 2nd of 2025. So I will be a few days behind on getting this episode put out, but that's simply because I had quite a few books due on the 2nd, and so I kind of had to pace myself when it came to reading and recording for you all. I do believe I've already got my review on Goodreads written. So if you're looking for me over there, I think it's Hope Coffee. That is my Goodreads name. But right now, Goodreads is saying, hey, do you want to sign in? And I'm like, not at the moment, but maybe later. But let us dive into my thoughts on this particular book. And I picked it up absolutely because I wanted a cozy mystery with a little bit of fantastical elements. So that's exactly what I got. Again, what I did not realize was I had already missed a little bit in the series, but I don't feel as though I missed too much. I feel as though this book wholly encompasses this story by giving just enough background on some of the or most of the characters for you to not feel completely lost. Am I curious as to what happens in those other two books? Sure. But I don't think I don't feel as though this story was impacted too heavily by not having read them. Of course, I want to know more about the dragons and the animosity between the dragons and the merfolk, the mermaids. I'd love to know a little bit more about whether there are other magical beings in this particular world, and I like it. So cozy fantasy is always going to be one that I gravitate towards. Some of my critiques are going to be that it felt overly long. Now, I know I said it was about 350 something pages in the Kindle edition, but with it being a 13-hour audiobook, it felt potentially 2 to 3 hours too long. I think by the time I thought we were wrapping up the book, we were still 2.5 hours out. And I was like, okay, I think we have had enough fluff and stuff added. And I do think we could have cut a little bit out to keep it cozy, keep it succinct, and keep us fully focused on what's going on. Now, one of the big elements of this story is Alex and Jack's relationship. Jack is always working, his phone is constantly going off and calling him, pulling him off of date nights and those sorts of things. He tries to do various things for her, but it seems as though a lot of those things that he's trying to do are hit and miss. Now, at this particular point in this story, Alex and Jack have only been dating, from what it sounds like, about 3 months. So the fact that they're also pretty adult, it makes me kind of like, okay, well, that's pretty good. You know, you can move as fast or slow as you want in your relationships, whatever makes you feel comfortable, and that is acceptable. But I think I kind of had a moment's pause when, Jack wants Alex to meet his mom, which totally fine. Hey, if 3 months you both are kind of feeling it, then okay, go ahead, go for it. Jack does live with his mom, or I guess you could say his mom lives with him. And there are absolutely reasons why that needs to happen. The issue for me, where the issue comes in, and none of that was the issue for me is that he is using Alex like a babysitter for his mom when he gets called out at night. And I did not like that dynamic. Now, if you've been together for a while, you are maybe potentially starting to see this woman as your mother-in-law in the future. That could be a different story. But Jack's mom has sort of what I would call a bit of a mental deficiency. And again, fully explained in the book, so I'm not going to try to divulge too much. But she is very childlike in her manners, very forgetful, and needs someone to kind of care for her to ensure she doesn't accidentally burn the house down or accidents or what have you, which is fine. And Jack even says, he really doesn't want to lean on Alex like this, but the caretaker that he had for his mom, I think she quit. I didn't like the way that he was just like, hey, so, can you watch my mom when I go out? And I'm just like, I don't know. So that kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way with regards to that. Now, also at this point in the book series, we are clearly aware that Alex comes from a magical family. And so she has an aunt and a missing mother and cousins who are magical. And then we learn that Jack is adamantly against magical folks. And I don't know if this is social commentary for the fact of people being different and people having a discrimination against them, but oh my gosh, from the moment those words came out of his mouth and his vehement hate for the magical folks, I was completely checked out, like, of that relationship especially too. And Alex is still kind of on the fence as to whether she wants to, try to divulge her secret to Jack to help him, make him understand, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm sorry, but I've lived with real people in real life who are unable to look past the differences in others. And Jack fully and utterly sees these merfolk and other magical beings as being other. He does not see them as human, even though he is standing there talking to his girlfriend who is a magical being. He is not aware, but now she's got this dilemma of, do I even still want to be with this guy who apparently is just so full of hate for the magical community? And though he doesn't fully, I think he believes it, but he also is kind of still a little on like the skeptical side. He has been like investigating her family members, and he's like, oh no, you're clear, you're fine, but I'm looking at your family members. And I'm just like, I would have had to call that relationship off so fast. I'm sorry. I could have thought you hung the moon up until that point, but at that point, I'm going to drop it and let it go, because I've got to move on when someone is so full of just like hate in that respect. And it really bothered me. So that vehemency, now later on in the book, I will say there's a pretty good call on the way certain things play out, but that was one of the biggest takeaways for me when reading this book. Is that the full crux of this book and what we're focused on? Not really. What we're focused on is these missing women and this cold case that is kind of comes back to the surface when Jonah, Pepper's boss, is found dead on the beach, and there's a mystery woman near him, and she is supposedly one of those women who went missing like decades ago, like nearly 40 something years ago. But the thing is she still looks the exact same age as when she was taken. Now there are a couple medical anomalies as well, which makes you very curious. I kind of had an inkling, but I'm not going to divulge that secret. But let's just say we do have government agencies who seem to be targeting magical folks. We have a lot of conspiracy going on, and mysteries abound. I want to read the other two books, because I need to know if they're a little bit better than this. And the only reason I say better is because that issue with Jack and his personality and his, I guess, discrimination towards people who are other, really, like I said, took me out of the story. I probably give this book about a 3.75 because I saw no real growth in him through the story. I didn't see him even admitting he could be wrong, or that he maybe was brainwashed or convinced one way or the other, that he was given the wrong information. And I think that alone takes away a full star for me, because I really wanted this to be cozy fantasy, and for most aspects it was. But again, that particular part with Jack was way too much for me, especially in today's world where we deal with that so prevalently in our society. But two, it was also just a bit too long for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and round it to 4, just because giving 3.75 is not a score I can, like, put in the system. But with all of that being said, I'm going to go ahead and leave it here and let you guys decide if this is something that may be up your alley. I do think Alex is a fairly strong character. I would have loved to see her put her foot down a little bit more. I like she does speak her mind somewhat, but when he starts talking about her family, or at least magical folks, and she knows that she and her family are part of that community, I don't see her walk away as fast as I would have walked away if someone had been talking about me and my family that way, or even if they had just been friends or other people that I may not have met yet, because I don't think that's right to talk about anybody that way. But that's my particular thoughts on that, and I'm going to go ahead and get off this soapbox and I'm going to go ahead and leave it here. But I do want to thank you all so much for joining me on this journey. If you have not liked and subscribed already, I certainly hope you will, and I will see you guys on the next page. Have a great one.